So welcome to yet another episode of Round the Clock Frights. Today, I am joined by the awesome Casey Hartnett. How you doing today, Casey?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've heard about this bedroom scene in Terrifier 2 because you play Allie in Terrifier 2. The bedroom
Yes,
scene I heard is very heartwarming and, just very emotional, and it's sure to make you feel very good.
absolutely. It's a really heartwarming scene for the
Mhm.
entire movie, all about love, You feel the love for sure.
I think that's going to be the critics' quote on the DVD cover. You can feel the love in the bedroom scene. Uh,
Exactly.
But yes, thank you again. Thank you so much for being here. Now, when I saw Terrifier 2, I saw it opening weekend, and I went with two friends. I went with a visual effects artist, and I went with an aspiring actress. And there were many times throughout this movie where we turned to each other and we were like, "Wow, this is absolutely incredible! Like just the sheer level of craftsmanship." And my question for you is, do you have any favorite audience stories that you would like to share? Because my audience was over the moon.
I do. I love I think one of my favorite stories was the first time I saw the film in Austin at we were at Fantastic Fest, and it was a mixed audience of people who have worked on the film and people who have had no idea what they were getting into. Well, a little bit of an idea, but I'm sitting next to Sarah Voigt, who played Barb, Sienna and Jonathan's mom in the film, and we're sitting there and the big bedroom scene happens, and Sarah, the whole time, she's like, what? Oh my god, what's happening? And then by the end of it, she was like, we were both like freaking out a little bit, and by the end of it, she just leans over and looks at Damien and goes, what is wrong with you? And then like the room had just gone silent at that point, and then she was just like, what is wrong with you? And then there are a few times I love hearing people applaud. There are a few times for Sienna that people have applauded, and actually in New York, people applauded after that bedroom scene as well. So it's really nice to hear the audience react and cheering on these things that we're doing in this film. So yeah,
That's the kind of response you want, like in a movie like this. Just gets
yeah.
the crowd all riled up. Well, congratulations on all of your success. I
Thank
can
you.
tell a lot of hard work was put into this movie, and everyone in the cast was such a joy to watch. So thank you again for all of your hard work.
Yeah, thank you. It's just nice to know that people enjoyed it, and enjoyed the film. So,
And
yeah.
then I have some questions here for you, Casey. So what I would like to do, I would like to go ahead and start with a fun question because Halloween is just around the corner. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of really into Halloween as a holiday.
Love
Um,
that.
so if you could only have three Halloween candies for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Three Halloween candies, I think. I mean, I really do love chocolate. I think I would have to say a Snickers. You can't go wrong with Snickers. And then probably, oh gosh, I could, I really love, also like Kit Kats. I really
Mm,
love Kit Kats. So I think I would say Snickers, Kit Kats, and I feel like I need something gummy in there as well. Like, some good old like I don't know, gummy worms, or like the sweet and sour gummy worms or something. Yeah.
those are some excellent choices. And actually, Kit Kats for me too. I grew up with two older
Yes.
sisters, and being the good sibling I am, I used to take Kit Kats out of their trick or treat bags and kind of hoard them for myself.
Love that. Love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when did you decide you wanted to pursue a career in the creative arts, and who have been your biggest influences?
Yeah, that's a good question too. And I mean, really, I say it goes back to when I was 5 years old. I fell in love with my first movie, which was Harriet the Spy. So that movie was a big influence for me as both an actor and a writer. And because Harriet M. Welch in the movie, Michelle Trachtenberg's character is a writer. So I started writing scripts and like journaling after that. And then I started doing theater when I was 11. So that was really like I started begging my parents to do theater, and was performing after that. But I would say some of the big influences for me, I really Michelle Trachtenberg for sure was an early influence. The Olsen twins and Lindsay Lohan also, in Parent Trap. I loved The Parent Trap so much that I wrote a script of it and made my friends all put it on. And it was so funny because I, of course, wanted to play, I wanted to play Annie, the British one. And I am friends with two twins and I wanted to play a twin. So I was like, I wrote the script and had my friend and I, who look kind of similar, play Annie and Hallie. And then I had the two twins play different characters, play like the moms, like the mom and the stepmom. And I just, that was just me being a child and not, and logically being like, I want to be the star. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So selfish of me. But I just find that really funny that we had twins and didn't use them as the twins. Anyway, sorry, that was a huge tangent. But I would also say that my influences really in film have been, I mean, there's so many actors I look up to. I really love, I have to say, Winona Ryder. I really love her a lot. I love Julianne Moore, and I really love Brie Larson. She's been a big like indie film influence for me. And I also am a really big fan of Kristen Stewart. I know that's a little controversial. Some people aren't, but I really love Kristen Stewart a lot. And the work that she's been doing, because she also does a lot of international work. And I have this dream of doing international work as well. So those are some people who've influenced me for sure.
Yeah, that's super incredible. And like all the people you just listed, many of them have been inspiring to me as well. And you mentioned indie movies.
Yeah.
Working on an indie movie, I mean, you build this amazing sense of camaraderie. I mean, so much hard work gets put into an indie movie, and you're having people working on an indie movie who are taking something original, and it's not like a remake or a reboot or a sequel, and they genuinely believe in it. So it makes like everyone feel a lot closer.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the indie film community. And also now that I'm getting this taste of the horror film community now, like how supportive, like folks who love horror films and horror fans but the indie film community in general is just so supportive, and they just love film and they love the art of it and they love supporting filmmakers and movies. Like when I go to the cinema, when I go to theaters, I go to watch indie films and support indie filmmakers and support people making indie films. That is, I love those stories and the creative freedom that you can have more so with indie films. So there's something really special about that.
No, absolutely. And that actually ties into another question I had. Have you seen any recent indie movies that you would recommend?
I have. Oh gosh. I just saw Tar,
Oh,
which
yes.
is
Yes.
real good. Cate Blanchett is amazing. That's a really good movie too. And then what else have I seen recently? And then I've seen a few foreign films. I saw In Front of Your Face. Oh God, what is that? What's his name again? I don't want to say the wrong name, but it's a Japanese. He's either Japanese or Korean. Oh gosh, this is horrible. I should know this. But it's called In Front of Your Face, and it's very, very good. And he's a very like character focused filmmaker. And so his films feel very focused on the characters, which is really nice. And then, I'm trying to remember what I've seen recently, but Tar stands out as being a good one.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see Tar. Cate Blanchett, great
Yeah.
actress. Todd
Yeah.
Field, such an incredible director.
Mhm.
Um, so when did you first become aware of Terrifier 2, and what was the audition process like?
Yeah, so in 2019, I submitted my actor profile for an audition, and then I auditioned via a self-tape first. And this was before COVID. And so self-tapes were a thing before COVID. But and then he called us in to do he called me in to do a read with Lauren, who plays Sienna, Lauren Levera, and we did like a chemistry read for Allie and Sienna to play best friends. And then from there, he had me do one more audition, which was a screaming audition, which was, you know, being chased by Art the Clown. So to see what I would do with that and how far I could go with that. And then, yeah, once I booked it, I actually didn't watch the first Terrifier until after I had auditioned for it, because I didn't want to be influenced and think that I had to do something that another actor had already done. I wanted to bring my own thing to it, of course. So yeah, then I watched the first Terrifier and I got the offer for the role, and I was, yeah, very excited. Yeah, it was exciting.
Well, you definitely brought something really great to the table. And you mentioned you had a screaming audition. When
Yes,
you were preparing for the screaming audition, was there any concern from your neighbors?
there was. That happened. So I did have to do a self-tape of that in my apartment in New York, in Brooklyn. And I did it. So I, marked it out. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because there's a lot of, there's some movement in it as well. And so I was like kind of blocking it out first. And then I just did it. And I went through one take of it, of the scene, screaming, whatever. And then all of a sudden I hear a knock on my door. And we go to the door. My partner at the time helped me film my audition, and he answers the door, and it was our neighbor being like, hey, just checking that everything's okay in here, that no one's like getting murdered. She thought, like, our neighbor literally, she was like, just make sure no one's like getting murdered. I wasn't sure if you were getting murdered or having really weird sex. And we were like, definitely not. I was like, I'm an actor. It's fine. Everything's fine. And then I didn't do it again because I felt too self-conscious. So I just sent that to Damien. I was like, hey, clearly this was enough screaming for someone to think I was getting murdered. So I'm just gonna send this to you. And if you need something else, let me know. But yeah, that's how that went. That was pretty funny.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that means that you did a very convincing job, as if the neighbors come over and they're worrying about your safety.
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, everything good? I'm like, I'm safe, I promise.
Yeah. I've definitely had some similar experiences. Not to get into detail, but I've had the police show up at my doorstep and they've asked questions.
No.
But at the
Yeah,
same time, that's kind of a compliment because it just means that it sounds real.
exactly. Right. Yeah. I was like, well, it's convincing enough for someone.
Mhm. And then I'd really like to bring up the characterizations in this film because all the actors, like I mentioned, did such an incredible job bringing these characters to life. You, Lauren, Kaylee, of course, David, everyone involved. So I would love to know, what the collaboration process was like between all the actors and bringing these characters to life.
Yeah. So one thing that I really liked that we did was we actually filmed the school scene first.
Mhm.
So me, Lauren, and Kaylee got to meet each other, kind of establish our friendship both on screen and off screen, right from the beginning, which was really nice to go into the rest of the filming that way.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I mean, we each brought, our own thing to the characters. And there is, I do remember a specific line that I had in one of in like a store scene where my Allie and Sienna's shopping for Halloween candy, and Allie is talking to her about this crazy dream she had the night before. And there's this one line where, because Sienna has a lot of anxiety, and so there's this one line where Allie says, did you change medications recently? And Damien, I think, had intended it. He said that in his mind it was kind of like did you, like, kind of like a joking, teasing line. And the way I said it, I was like, I said it in a really sincere, concerned way. And he was like, and I kind of, talked to him. I remember talking to him about that a little bit. And to establish this difference between Allie and Brooke, as Sienna's two best friends. And I remember talking to Damien about that specific line and how that delivery could go so many ways. And so I remember him being like, no, actually, I think that let's try that. Let's see how that goes, because I think that really differentiates Allie and Brooke even more. Like, I have this huge concern for her and this empathy, not that Brooke isn't empathetic towards Sienna, but she's, she's like, having fun, doing Molly, whatever. But so that was a really interesting moment. I think that really specific line for me was really what drove Allie home as that, as that friend for Sienna, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, but it was nice to establish our whole dynamic of the friendship from the beginning in the school scene.
That's always a great feeling, isn't it? Like, you have a great first day on set and you just feel like this character is really working. And throughout the filming process, you're discovering more about yourself as an actor. And yeah, it must have been like an incredible experience. And from what I read in other interviews, Damien was very good at collaborating and helping you bring your character to life.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And that's why I was, yeah, like when we had that whole store scene, and I was like, I want to make this a bit more empathetic than me kind of being mocking and annoyed with her. Being understanding of the fact that she stayed up all night to come up with her costume, and she's been working on this for months. And I mean, Brooke in the film also mentions, that she's an incredible artist, and she's so she's so impressed by her. And so I think I wanted to bring, I don't know, I just wanted to bring this empathetic, like, long friendship, because in my characterization of my process of the work, I had kind of crafted that we were high school friends. I crafted that we'd known each other for years. And she was one of my oldest friends. So I wanted to be more, I wanted to bring that and try to establish that.
The chemistry was definitely there. And with horror movies, I really like it when you can relate to the protagonists and, you feel so sorry for them, when shit hits the fan and, terrible things happen to them. And I just have to say, what your character goes through in this movie is just absolutely devastating. And, you did such a tremendous job, making us, sympathize with this character and, just kudos, just great job all around. And if I could real quick share a story, my favorite scene in the movie is actually when you greet Art the Clown at the door.
Yeah.
And he's asking for some candy, and you're like, "Oh, aren't you that weirdo from the costume shop?" The reason that's my favorite scene is because that actually happened to me. Yes, there was a full-grown man who showed up, at my doorstep when I was in college. He was dressed as Spider-Man, and same thing. He had a bag with him, and he was asking for some candy, and it was a pretty uncomfortable situation. But unlike Allie in the movie, I did give in, and I gave him some candy bars because why not? And if I hadn't, hopefully hopefully things wouldn't have turned out like the movie.
Oh my God, I know. I feel like I would give him candy too. I would just be like, all right, here you go. Here's a piece of candy. Like, I mean, yeah, but I think she, in that scene was one of my favorites. I was really looking forward to that scene. And it's funny because I'm just like, everyone's like, she should have just given him candy. But, you have to obviously justify what the character would do in that situation. And I think in Allie's mind, she was just like, this guy is just, I don't know, he's just joking around. He's just a troll. Like, come on, that's funny. But yeah, right. And so I think it was hard. Yeah, it's just a little shocking when someone who looks like an adult,
Yeah.
acts in this way. So she's like, haha, you're just kidding. That's fine. But yeah, I don't know. Just but that scene was fun. For sure.
So moral of the story is, maybe just give them the candy. I mean, is it really worth it?
Yeah, just do it. Just give them. You never know these days.
And you've also written, produced, and directed a number of projects, and one of which is a very funny YouTube series called Period Drama. And me and my wife Rebecca, she's also an aspiring actress, and we watched the New York segment, 1985.
Okay.
There's a quote in that scene, where you're getting harassed for being an activist, and you say, "I'm not an activist, I'm an activist." And
yeah,
we laughed hard. We laughed hard at that, and I was like, "Oh man, we got to get that on a shirt or something." So
I'm so glad that one, that you found that, and two, that you thought that was funny.
yes,
I thought that was funny.
yes.
Yeah, that's so funny. It seems like a lot of the things that I've done in my career have revolved around blood, which is just like pretty funny. But yeah, I did that web series because just literally just thought it was like something my friend and I did. We like on no budget, and some of my friends from my acting school made that, and I had this idea, this like epiphany one day, and I was like, period drama, that's hilarious, like women in different time periods having their periods, that's so funny.
Mhm.
And so we made it a sketch comedy series, of course, um and then from there I actually ended up be helping out this with this volunteering with this organization called #Happy Period, and then becoming their New York chapter lead for, from then on, doing donation drives of menstrual products for the homeless. So at our screening event, we did a donation drive for Happy Period. We found out about Happy Period. My producing partner actually found out about Happy Period, and she got in touch with Chelsea Von Chaz, who's the founder, and then we did a donation drive at our screening event of the web series, and then donated that to a shelter, the Allie Center in Harlem. And then from then on, I just kept volunteering with them and became their chapter lead. And so I became a period activist. Mm-hmm. Unintentionally, but it became something that I was super passionate about, because also when I made this comedy series, I remember certain people, like certain reactions from both men and women, saying like, that's kind of gross though. Like, that's kind of like, why are you writing about that? Why are you talking about that? That's kind of gross. And it made me realize like, oh, this is actually like, people can't just laugh at this all the time. Like people are still so uncomfortable about this. And that kind of made me feel like, yeah, I do want to do this work. And, so I became a period activist as well as all this other stuff. So, but it was one of like the most wonderful things to happen, I think, from the time that I moved to New York and was pursuing acting, and also, but it was one of the best experiences I've had, doing all that work.
No, that's really terrific. And, as someone, who's written and directed, I'm sure it must have been, amazing being on the set of, something like Terrifier 2 and watching, the filmmaking process unfold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it was also fascinating because I've never done anything with that extensive special effects before. And so that was what really excited me about this project, is that it was something I hadn't done, so because the other, I've done dramedies, and I had done thrillers before, but the filmmaking process it was just more interesting, adding the special effects on top of it, the practical effects on top of everything, and watching Damien and how he prepared those, and yeah, it was very cool, and to see the filming process of like adding. I really was skeptical. I was a little nervous. I was like, how are we going to make this look realistic? But it does. It's like pretty wild, like how, because yeah, you have a prosthetic on, and then but like you're watching things be ripped at the, like, it's just wild the way that it worked. And I was like, all right, this is it. But I don't know, it was just a cool experience to see how that process.
Did you have like a lot of questions for Damien, just about directing in general, or just about the process, like in general, while you were on set?
I not, I guess not really. I think I was just focused on acting at the time, but it was, and just observing really. Because I had, yeah, I mean, I've been on, I've yeah, I've like PA'd, I've produced, so I've been, and I have directed like short videos, and I'm trying to get more into directing as well, and I'm writing and directing, but yeah, I mean, I think this time I was more focused on the acting part of it and
Yeah.
observing everything that was happening, but yeah, but it is, I mean, the questions that I have for directors or for that I am more so asking are like, okay, tell me about, the distribution part of it, like that part of it is, and it's like the pre and post production parts of it that are the hardest for me sometimes.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you mentioned earlier in our conversation that it's incredibly important to support indie film, and you must have been so excited when you heard that this was going to theaters. Not just for one weekend; it's been extended.
I know, that's wild. My mind is blown. Because I didn't know. My expectation was that it would be streaming and maybe in some festivals. And I know Damien wanted to, put it in some theaters, but maybe just like on its own and travel around with it and do like screenings, like one screening in each city or something like that. But then when it actually went to theaters, yeah, that was a surprise to me. So, but it's very exciting, and I'm just so blown away by
Yeah,
that.
word of mouth has been very strong among the horror community. I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends in the community, and we've just talked about how amazing this film is, and you just have to go see it. It's something that has to be experienced, in the theater. And I actually told one of my friends, so just because she doesn't really get the chance to go to the movies that often, you have to see this in the theater. And I told her it's pretty brutal. It might make you feel a little uncomfortable. And she literally told me, my mama didn't raise no coward. And then she
Love
saw,
that.
and then she saw the movie, and during your scene, she was texting me, and she was like, "I can't watch this."
Mhm. It's
Um,
brutal. It's hard to watch.
and
Um,
oh, go ahead.
no, it is. It's hard to watch, but it's also like super fun to watch. So my dad has seen it, my mom has not, and my dad was watching that scene and he's like, yeah, I had to laugh.
Oh,
He was like, he's like, it was gross, but I had to laugh
everyone
eventually.
everyone in the theater was probably like, "What is with that guy?" Like he's like the only one laughing at
He's
this.
also the oldest person in the theater. He's like, everyone else was like 20, and then there's me. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, they're probably like, why is this man just like alone watching this movie?
I definitely have some questions here. And now, as someone who has also done acting work covered in makeup and prosthetics, I know how surreal it is to see yourself in such a nasty state.
Yeah.
And how did you feel when you saw the final look, of your character? Were you just like shocked and appalled?
Um, so I mean, it's pretty nasty. I mean, yeah, on set, it was like, well, I mean, obviously this is just super nasty, but like watching it on screen was a little different, and I was watching it and I almost started crying because I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe someone just like I can't believe that just happened to me. And it's like so bizarre. You're like watching it and it's you, and you were there for the whole process, but it was so intense because it's like, the things that you can imagine in your mind, it's like even worse probably than I've ever imagined, like any bad thing happening. It's
Mm-hmm.
worse. And I knew that because I was there and I filmed it, but watching it back on screen, but just all completely edited together on a big screen, I mean, I started tearing up. I was like, oh my God, this is
Mm-hmm.
horrifying, and this is so freaky
Mhm.
to watch. But again, I mean, I think one thing that I love about films like this, especially as an actor, is it is such a gift when you do get to get messy with it. Because, you know, it's just makes it so much more fun, especially for women, for female characters. When you get to get messy with the job, it's just so much more fun than standing there and just being like, okay, now you're just supposed to stand here and look pretty. And you're just like, look cute, look pretty, okay. But when you're given the opportunity to get messy with a character, it's just so much more fun.
Mhm. Makes it a more enjoyable experience, and you get to get down and dirty.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're not just like an extra standing in the background, or you're
Right.
not just standing there to look good. You get to actually have some fun with it.
Yeah. So it was fun, but it was also really um uh hard. It was hard to watch, but I don't know, it was fun.
And seeing your character in her final state, I was convinced that that was like a dummy or an animatronic, but then your head moves and you actually speak. So that was just a testament to how incredible the practical effects were in this movie.
So there was a puppet. There was
Okay.
a puppet. It was maneuvered as a puppet. The ending, I think, honestly, I'm trying to remember. So so that moment was a puppet, and then he had CGI'd my eyeball onto the they did like a full life cast of me.
Uh-huh.
Um, like a silicone life cast, and he messied it up. So I think it looks really good because, and I'm honestly trying to remember if he used me saying mom or if he actually got the mouth to, I can't remember.
Right.
That it was in 2020, but it was also, I was delirious by that point. So
Mhm.
it was
Understandable.
it took us 5 days to film that scene. So it was a lot, but because it's my voice and it's my eye, it is my actual eye that he CGI'd into it. But there was a puppet that we were using of my body.
Oh,
A
okay.
replica of my body that we were using on like in the last shot of that scene. But yeah, I'm trying to remember if in that close up, if that was me speaking or not. I have a feeling it was the puppet, but now I'm like questioning everything. Um, but yeah, but we did have a puppet there.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually wasn't aware of that. I thought
Yeah, I should
that
have
was
just been like, I'm a great actor, you guys. I can.
you better be ready for the Academy Awards because you're going to be rolling up to the red carpet. Best
Yeah, I
Jets
shouldn't
in a
have told you
movie.
that.
No, that's really terrific. And Casey, I just congratulations again, and I can't wait to see what you do in the future. It was such a blast watching this movie, and I've really enjoyed talking about your career and your inspirations, and it's just been amazing. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and just as an aspiring artist, it's just inspirational to hear like all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. It was so great to chat with you. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. And then one more question I wanted to end on. One more fun question is could you please share some of your all-time favorite Halloween question costumes that you've worn over the years?
That's a good one. Um, so what have I been? So I did dress up as uh Winona Ryder's character in Heathers.
Yeah.
Um, like at the very end, like where she walks out. Have you seen Heathers? Okay, so she
Yes.
walks out after the explosion. So she's like wearing like a t-shirt and her school skirt, and she's just like she's like bleeding and has like dirt all over her. So I like did that one year, and I had a lot of fun with that because it was like messy and fun. I have this like old vintage cheerleading like outfit from that I got in high school, and like from my high school that I stole. Well, I didn't steal it; they gave it to us. But and I've dressed up as like a zombie cheerleader, like a dead cheerleader who like fell like from the top of the pyramid, and had blood all over my head, because you can't just be a cheerleader. That's boring. You have to like also be a dead cheerleader.
Yep.
Um, yeah. And then I remember one costume that stands out for me when I was a kid was that I dressed up as an actress, but I dressed up as like an Oscar like winner on Oscar night.
Oh, okay.
I was in like fifth grade, and we had like a little Halloween parade around our school. And I remember wearing this long, because I was a dancer when I was a kid, when I was younger, well, throughout high school, but from anyway, I was a dancer and I wore one of my dance costumes, which was this long blue dress.
Oh yeah.
So I just wore that and then had like a fake Oscar. And I was just like walking around school like, oh, I'm an Oscar winner.
I bet you felt too cool for
Actress.
school.
I felt so cool. I was just like, yes, I'm an actress. And then, yeah, so that was fun. I've also dressed up as like, I don't know, like military people, Minnie Mouse. I don't know, lots of things.
And it's cool that you mentioned Winona Ryder and Heathers, because my mom is a huge fan of Little Women from the 90s.
Yes, so good.
And I have two older sisters, and I think it'd be awesome if they just got a group together and went as those characters.
That'd be a great costume. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great.
But for Halloween this year, do you know what you're going to be doing? Like, do you have any special plans?
So this year, I do have a friend who wants to dress up, do like a Stranger Things costume. So we might do that. Um, and I don't really know specific plans yet, but dressing up somewhat. But yeah, I might go with we might be doing a Stranger Things theme.
Very
So,
nice.
yeah,
Well,
we're
I
still.
hope you. No, that's awesome, and I hope you have a really fun time, Casey. Thank you so much again. This has been, a lot of fun, and again, I can't wait to see what you do, and you'll definitely go down in horror infamy. So,
Yeah.
congratulations, and thank you again for all of your hard work.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your week. And I definitely want to make it a point to see Terrifier 2 again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you again, Casey. Take care, and yes, and happy Halloween.
Yeah, you too. Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.